Hey guys, welcome to the StageBook video tutorial. This tutorial will walk you through step by step on how to use StageBook. We'll go through all the features of the app and you'll see my process that I've developed with the app, and hopefully this will answer any questions you might have. So here we go. Okay, when you open StageBook, you see two buttons here, a plus sign and a cloud at the bottom right. We'll talk about the cloud later. We're going to tap the plus sign to create a new StageBook. And we're going to type in a name here by tapping where it says StageBook name. And I guess I'll shout out my alma mater here. And we'll put closer. And then you can choose a color. It's just a little label at the bottom just to keep you organized if you have a bunch of StageBooks. And then you go ahead and hit create, and you're on to the stage settings page. And on this page, you see performers, props, and staging. You can tap add performers, and this little scroll menu comes up. You choose how many performers are in your group. This group is going to have 14. And just to keep it organized, we're going to call this girls. And then if you want to change the color of the performer icon, you just tap the color. And not yellow. That's fine. And then you can tap add performers again because we also have guys in this group. We're going to say 13, and we're going to make the guys blue. Tap the name to edit it. Cool, and the props section is good if you're doing like an old school hat and cane thing, or anytime there's something your performers need to hold in their hands. Even if you needed to designate where microphones go, props is a good way to keep track of who is holding what and where. So for props, if you want to add, let's say we have hats, you can choose a symbol by tapping the symbol here. You can choose like a white outline or a black. We're going to go with a black circle, and we'll call this hats. Then we'll move on to staging. You can choose our standard 4x4 show choir or 3x4 show choir setups, or one of my favorite pages, one of my favorite parts of the app is the add custom stage page. So you can click that if you want to use 4x4 or 3x4, you just tap it, or we'll tap the plus to add custom because we're cool like that. So we're gonna make a standard like Mount Zion 5-4-5-4 setup. And you just drag in with your finger the riser sizes from the left. And the sizes are here just to kind of keep you organized. 30 is a big jump, but whatever. We'll roll with it. And so you have room for 5 across and 4 deep with some floor space. Oh, I need to move that over. And now we've made our 5x4, 5-4-5-4 setup. And you'll notice at the bottom right corner, there's a bunch of different number lines. I did a Facebook survey in the show choir directors and choreographers group about this. And anybody who answered, I put their number line in. So there's a variety of number lines to choose from. Some of them are a little bit stranger than others. But yeah, if you answered that survey, we got it in there for you. So we're going to choose a standard number line. And if we tap at the top, we can change the name of the formation. So let's say this is for DeKalb again. So we'll just put DEK. And we'll hit save. And now we're back on our stage settings page, and we can click the DeKalb setup. Any custom setup kind of is shown by this T shape in the risers for now anyway. And you select that, and then you're ready to block. So you can hit next, and we're ready to go. So on the main blocking page, this is where you'll do most of your work, and you'll see, you know, maybe I should have picked a different shape here. I'm going to change that. So let's choose triangles, just so there's not 3 circles up there, because that's not always how it is. Okay, so you'll see at the top, you have the name of the StageBook in the top left. This is our closer StageBook for DeKalb, and you'll see your performer icons at the top, and you'll see your prop triangle for your hats, and you'll see that it's automatically labeled at chart 1, and the numbering system is automatic, and you can change that. We're going to call this, you know, we'll just call it closer 1, even though that's a bit redundant, because we already put closer in the StageBook name. But just to show you that we can edit that at the top, you'll see your number line at the bottom, and then there's a bunch of little icons and buttons on the bottom that we'll go over in a second. Let me just make sure this is recording. Okay, it is. Okay, so basically you just drag the performer icons down from the top, and you'll notice a little grid pops up. The icons do snap to a grid at about a 1 foot resolution. So I'll just place a few performers, and you kind of just drag them down, put them wherever you want. I'm gonna make a shape based on this diamond here, and there's a few different rows on the floor, so it goes pretty deep. You can fit 4 rows on the floor there. We're just gonna use the front 2. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You really just drag them down wherever you need to. And, oops, I probably should have made that one blue. Alright. Ah, shoot, I ran out. Just freestyling, bear with me. Yeah, we'll make a blue here. And for our bonus 4 people, we'll go here. And here. So we've made our first chart. And there it is. It's as easy as that. And then you can drag down, let's say you want this outside layer here to have hats. You just drag down the hat icon and it will snap to the performer and kind of follow them throughout. If you don't want that person to have a hat anymore, you press and hold and this little pop-up menu comes up with the triangle and the X. You can delete the prop or you can add a name with the pencil button. We'll delete the prop just so you see it. So yeah, you can snap these props to the outside layer of girls. And now in your chart, you know kind of who's got what, and that helps keep that organized. So yeah, you've built your first chart and things are looking good. So let's move on and do another one, because this is where I think StageBook really kind of pays for itself here. So you hit the plus sign at the bottom and it asks you, do you want to start from a blank stage? I typically say no, and I'll show you why. It's because the routing is so much easier when you're building chart 2 based on chart 1. So I'm gonna build chart 2 here, and I'm gonna keep, held on to it. I'm gonna keep people close to where they need to go so that the transition is simple. And a lot of times I kind of make adjustments to the performer's mirrors as I do it to one side. I'll kind of do it to the other two, just so I keep track of who's who, and it gives you like kind of a more symmetrical transition. Here you go. So I'm just going to quickly build chart 2. Okay, so this is kind of a strange chart. Maybe it's a quartet versus a solo kind of thing. But the cool thing about StageBook is that it shows you your routing from spot to spot, so that you can always make sure that you have symmetrical routing and that everybody's path is something that makes sense for them. So I usually toggle back and forth a lot between chart 1 and chart 2, just to make sure I've done things in a way that looks nice and a way that is easy for the performers. Say I made a move that wasn't symmetrical, like maybe I accidentally dragged him up. You can catch that with your eye pretty quick by flipping back and forth through the animations. So it helps you catch those little mistakes, and honestly, that has really been a cool thing to learn about the app, is that feature ends up being a really powerful tool, and you never have kids asking, hey, I'm moving too far in this chart. Like, you catch all those problems way before they happen. So that's kind of how that goes, and you hit the plus sign again, and you can keep going. So you hit no, and then chart 3 pops up, and you can continue on building chart 3. We're going to drag all the hats upstage. And there you have it. It's as easy as that. It does take some getting used to, I think, versus paper, to like imagine one chart coming from the next and kind of drawing it in that way. But I think once you see how slick these transitions get because of that, I think you end up getting used to it and realizing that it's worth it. So that's kind of how that goes, and yeah. So after I've drawn all my charts and you're ready to actually block it and type the names in for the performers, you just tap the icon that you want to update, you type in a name, and you're good to go, and you just repeat that process. And the cool thing is it routes it through the entire book, so you only have to add the names in one time, and it routes it through the entire song. So that definitely is an improvement over paper. And the other thing that gets way easier is reblocking. So you have a performer who gets injured. Let's say this guy, number 11, he gets injured. You can drag him to this offstage position, and you just do that for each chart. It's pretty easy to catch him once you kind of kick him out here. And then what you'd need to do is just kind of fill in the hole. And guy number 2 is very happy with you right now. So there's one chart. We're missing this one again. Oh, so you know what we actually need to do? Oh, so here's a feature. If you make a mistake or you do something you don't want to do, like I just did, I actually need to take Adam off his center, sorry buddy. You can hit the little circular arrow icon at the bottom right, and that's an undo button. And it's pretty handy for undoing mistakes like I just made. And really all I needed to do was probably this. And that evens that up, but let's check. Yeah. So that's routed smooth. And yeah, that undo button actually ends up being pretty handy in these kinds of situations. And let's just fix this one as well. So our hole is here. There, and we've reblocked. And when we're ready to put guy 11 back in the show, we just pop it right back in and we're good to go. So that's how easy reblock is. I've reblocked like 3 shows this year, and it's been nice. I'll say that much. Really wasn't too much drama at all. So let me give you a little pro tip here also. There's a couple little shortcuts that can help you out later. This button at the bottom that looks like 2 windows overlapping is a little preview window, and it's to help you kind of jump quickly from the end of all your charts to the beginning. It's also useful because you can reorder charts if you'd like. So you can just hold and drag chart 1 to chart 3 if you change your mind on when in the song that needs to come into play. Another little pro tip that's semi-related is if you hit the plus sign, no matter what chart you're on, if you hit no here, it copies the chart and makes it chart 4. It makes it the last chart in the sequence. So it's kind of like it's a secret shortcut to make a copy of a chart. So sometimes I do that, like I'll start and end a song in the same blocking, so that's really helpful for that. Kind of a little trick on how to copy a chart there. So let's just make sure we've gone over all the buttons. The home button in the bottom left corner takes you back to the very beginning, and we'll mess with this page a little more in a second here. The little preview button, we showed you. The plus button, we showed you that. The delete button deletes whatever page you're viewing. So we could delete, if we decide, oh, we don't need the copy of that first chart anymore, we can hit yes, and that goes away. The little pen and paper button takes you back to the stage settings page. So you could adjust, let's say you add a guy to your group, right, you can make that change, and then if you hit next, it just puts another performer in your queue that you can place if you need to. You can hit undo to return them to the queue, or you can go back and say, never mind, he changed his mind, and then it goes back to 0. So you can tweak the stage settings. If you could change your whole riser setup, like I've blocked stuff on 4x4 on accident that was supposed to be on 3x4, and you can make the switch on the staging settings and adjust. So like, yeah, your positions are still there, you have to adjust it, but it does still work. Oh, you know what, that makes me think. I think you can actually go 5 deep on the riser setup, and I think we did that because of SCA. So I'll show you something. If you tap and hold on a custom chart, it pulls up this little pop-up menu, and you can edit your custom chart settings. Let's say we're at SCA and we're going to go, well, I'll have to pull this front first. I think this is still going to give me floor room. If not, then this is a huge waste of time. But I think this will let me do 5 deep and still have floor space, so this is like some kind of Ohio camp setup or something. Let's try this. Yeah, so it actually, I forgot we did that. So it actually does go 5 deep, so if you're Los Alamitos or one of these gigantic show choirs and you're doing a holiday show, that might help out. Yeah, I forgot you can do 5 deep, and you still have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows deep on the floor. So, yeah, you can change that setting And then adjust if you've accidentally blocked it on the wrong risers or whatever. You could adjust. And that's real simple. Cool, I'm glad I remembered that. Yeah, so yeah, the pen is the takes you back to the stage settings page, and the circle arrow is the undo button, which you forfeit if you leave the screen. It kind of deletes the layers of undo, like it just did. Yeah, that's the basic features of the blocking page. And now we can go back to the home page and talk about sharing. Sharing is a pretty awesome part of StageBook. If you click this middle arrow here, it generates a 6-digit code, and there's a couple different things you can do with that 6-digit code to share the StageBook with other members of your production team or with your students or your performers. So this 6-digit share code doesn't expire, and it captures the StageBook in its current state. If you make any changes to keep up with those changes and to keep people current, you'd have to generate a different share code. So like, let's say all you wanted to do was to make sure that these guys were on the middle of the riser, but you want the choreographer to have the latest tweaks, or the director. You click share code, it generates. That's the newest share code. Yeah. So the share code is useful for a couple different reasons. We're going to copy it here by tapping it. You could text this or email this to your director or your choreographer to give them the latest. And if they have StageBook on their iPad, they click the cloud button. They can paste in or type in the share code here, hit import, and voila, they see what you see, and they can manipulate it however they need to, and they can route it differently or whatever. The other thing that's cool, I don't need 2 of those. The other thing that's cool is when you share it out, if you've made no changes, you get the same share code there. If you tap this little hyperlink, you can either copy that link or open it directly in the browser. And when you open it in the browser, it shows you your charts in order. And you can share this with your students, you can share this with the performers, and it's read-only, so they can't like mess with it. But they can pull it up on any device, which is nice. If you have a bunch of last-second changes, you could potentially send out the link, and the kids could all pull it up on their phone and have it learned before you even walk into rehearsal, which could be nice here. Oh, I can just hit done. You can also copy this share code and go to stagebookapp.com and input the share code there, and it gives you the same thing as if you just clicked that link. So those are ways to use the share code. That's incredibly useful. I use that stuff all the time, and I also keep a Google Doc of all my share codes for all my show choirs, which is why you don't see anything except our demo StageBook on here. I tend to kind of delete them until I need them again. But yeah, keep track of those share codes, and think of share codes also as a way of kind of saving to the cloud. So if you lost your iPad or if you accidentally erased it, you would have it on the cloud on our server, and once you get StageBook again, or even if you don't get StageBook again, you can always look on the web and you'll have your share code and you'll have your way to access your charts. And so if I draw a bunch of stuff and I've not put the names in yet, but I'm about to travel or something, I'll share it out to the cloud so that if I lost my iPad or whatever, I could just print them at the school and I would at least be covered. So think of that as a way to save things. Yeah, it's a nice safety net to have. Yeah, clicking the pen here on the StageBook homepage goes to the stage settings page, and you can also edit the StageBook name here by tapping up top. And let's erase closer because that was redundant eventually. So yeah, and I also recommend kind of breaking StageBooks up by song. For me, it's just easier. You could kind of put all your school into one, like your entire show into one StageBook if you hit the plus sign and then hit start from blank stage. The tricky part is if the names are already filled out here, like if I'm dragging these down and it says like Alyssa and Ryan and whatever, like my brain, I don't like that. I like to kind of fill in the names after it's built because it's like almost too much information to process, but maybe somebody out there likes doing it that way. So yeah, I tend to recommend that people do one StageBook per song and kind of keep things organized that way. Let's see if I've missed anything else. Oh, I missed one of my tips. So here's a pro tip for those of you that work in theater or dance outside of show choir, and you can create a custom stage that is just blank if you don't fill in anything here. And I tend to have a blank one handy because I do some theater sometimes. So if you just don't put any risers there, and voila, you've got instant theater. So if you're blocking a musical or staging a musical or dance team, the grid still works, the number line still is there to help you find center and keep things symmetrical. Yeah, so you can use the app to block on a flat stage surface as well. And if you need to add, let's say you're choreographing like American Idiot or something, and you have like some boxes kind of elevated upstage where you can have some performers. You can use this little 4x4 box that we made. You can use this for show choir too. It's actually a half riser is kind of why we built that. But then you have like, you can put in that kind of staging element too. So it does some stuff for theater too. It can be used for theater. Okay, I think that's it. I think that'll do it for the tutorial. Sorry, it was a little bit ADD today. That's kind of just how I'm rolling all day. But I think that should be it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, alexander.ali@gmail.com, or you can message me on Facebook or hit me up on Twitter @StageBookApp or @AlexanderHall. I hope you enjoy the app. I hope you are enjoying the app if you're already using it. If not, hopefully this changes your mind and makes it and illuminates the process a bit. I know it can be scary to change something that's worked, a system that you've developed on your own that you've been using for years, but I really do think that this is the better way to do it. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful competition season, and I'm sure I'll see you guys around. Thanks.